Good morning. It is Saturday morning. It's about 20 minutes of 8. We cleared the Coecles Harbor a little after 7. And we are on our way to Napatree Beach, or at least that's the plan. That's something over 20 miles, so it'd be a long day, but the wind is supposed to be okay, according to the forecast. The forecast says 10 knots out of the south. At the moment, I'd say the strength is pretty consistent with that, but the direction is more southeast at best. So hopefully as the day progresses, it will clock around a little more to the south. That'll work for us. So our first leg is again from Coecles Harbor to the buoy off the north tip of Gardiner's Island, which we've visited many times before. And that's 7-something miles. It'll take us a couple hours at our current speed to do that. And the current wind direction, will serve for this leg. So we'll have to see what happens when we get up there. Well, that's it for now. Talk to you a little bit more later. Maybe a chart sometime. It's a little afternoon, and we are approaching the eastern end of Fisher's Island. And I figure this is a good time to take a look at the chart. So here is Coecles Harbor on the east side of Shelter Island, between the North Fork and the South Forks of Long Island. And we left there, and our first leg was up to this buoy 1GI off the north tip of Gardiner's Island. Now, I had said earlier, I thought we were going to have to turn to the right at this point to continue on along the south coast of Fisher's Island, but in fact, it's very close to the same course that we've been on all day. Onto the next map. So here is that buoy 1GI, and actually I don't have a line drawn for the course we took, but we continued along past Constellation Rock, and then crossing the race. We had to deal with an incoming current, but that doesn't cause any problems in terms of roughness in the water this far out of the race itself. And then we continued along the south coast of Fisher's Island, which is where we are now, and we're headed for a waypoint that's down here. Well, we'll turn in a little bit, and we're not going all the way over to this buoy RW. We're going to take a passage that's in here, and we'll look at this on a smaller area, larger scale chart a little later, I think. So weather conditions haven't changed very much from this morning. We still have about 10 knots of wind. It did shift around a little bit more, but it's still a little bit to the east of south. Maybe it's 150 around there, which is certainly fine for what we're doing today. And we did get pretty cloudy at some point this morning, but we're back to mostly blue sky. So the solar charging system is working to catch up on the deficit caused by running the refrigerator overnight, and it's going to be fine, as always. So I'll take a few shots of our current environment. It's about 3 o'clock, and we are now safely anchored behind Napatree Beach. So I'm sorry I didn't do any filming on the way in here, but well, first the passage around the east end of Fisher's Island was quite a bit more exciting than I had anticipated. I don't think I've been through that particular passage before, or not during anything like today, anyway. And then once you get through there, you're off Stonington, and I'd kind of forgotten it was Saturday. During my whole trip from Coecles to the east end of Fisher's Island, I saw a couple of boats, but as soon as I came around into the Stonington area, there's sailboats everywhere. It pretty much required my full attention to make sure I didn't get into any trouble there. And then for the long, boring passage into behind Napatree Beach, I forgot, but it would have been boring anyway. So, as a consolation prize, I will, as I promised earlier, pull out a chart that will show that particular sequence of events or areas in larger detail, and we can just talk it through. Okay, so here's the page of our MapTech chart, and just in order to avoid any confusion, I want to point out that as opposed to most charts, the north-south lines do not run parallel to the edges. They're like this, or this blue line that shows up is a north-south line. So just in case things seem kind of skewed. So we turned a corner out here near Wreck Island. Again, I haven't drawn things in full detail. And we came up here and went through, this is Coecles Passage. And it's pretty shallow in there. I probably would have been better off coming out here, and there's another passage that's somewhat deeper. But so this was kind of surfy going through here. I was wing on wing at this point, using the whisker pole, and came through there. And it was okay. I wasn't scared or anything, and the dinghy seemed to handle it just fine. So we came through there, and then down here around the end of this breakwater, and in here we started the motor to turn into the wind, so to take down the main. The jib we can roll in anytime. And then did a long passage around and in here behind Napatree Beach. Now, I had in the past been in the habit of cutting across here, but as I explained, I ran aground in here in a place that was supposed to have 5 feet of water at low tide. So, and most of this out in here is, 4 or 5 feet of water at low tide, according to the chart. But so now I can't trust any of it. So and it doesn't take that much longer to actually use the channel. So I guess we'll do that from now on. So I think this will work, hiding from the wind in the shelter of the pop-top enclosure here. I was kind of surprised. I expected to see close to the full summer weekend regimen of boats in here, but it's pretty empty. Well, not empty. There's maybe 24 large boats down close to town, and just a few small pleasure boats pulled up on or near the backside of the beach. I don't know. It was a nice day today. It seemed reasonably warm, and I know I've been out here past Labor Day before on a weekend and found it fairly busy, but not today, which certainly doesn't bother me. I don't mind having more space. So since I've done my post-anchoring chores, put some things away, coiled up some lines, put up the riding sail, put up the pop-top enclosure, I can now relax and have my 3 o'clock beer and my cheese and crackers afternoon snack, and while away what remains of the afternoon. Yeah, it is still fairly breezy out there, so the pop-top enclosure really helps keep us protected from the nasty wind. So I can't imagine doing this without it. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. It's about 6:45 now, and I've had dinner. And we're moving on towards bedtime, and I was going to change into the clothes I wear, in the evening, which are different than the clothes I've been wearing all day. But I'm feeling a little sticky, and so I'm going to do something about that. So here we have a little pail that's full of warm water and a bar of soap and a washcloth. And I'm going to take a bath. And really, that's all I'm prepared to say about that. Well, there. I feel much cleaner now. There's a guy from Australia named Simon Carter. He has a YouTube channel, and he has got a lot of videos about sailing the coast of Australia, one particular section, in a 20-foot sailboat. And then just recently he got a larger sailboat. So I particularly enjoyed his videos on the smaller sailboat, of course. But he was discussing the differences between the bigger sailboat and the smaller sailboat. And he said, on the smaller sailboat, cruising on the smaller sailboat is a lot like camping. And I totally agree. Cruising here on Silver Heels, there's a lot of elements that are common to camping from my backpacking days. But I do have to say that compared to backpacking, it is incredibly luxurious and comfortable form of camping. So, these things are all relative, So having a shower, I suppose, would be less camping-like, but, I'm happy. Anyway, that's probably going to be it for today. Tomorrow's the last day, and we go back to Pine Island.
Well, we finally arrived at Sunday morning, so the last day of our cruise. It's a little after 8:30, so we've finally made our way out of the long passage out of Little Narragansett Bay, and we're just off Stonington, which is kind of picturesque, so I'll show you that. So I woke up this morning to a very calm day. There had been a prediction of perhaps rain before 8, but the sky was clear, pretty much. So we were able to get off to a reasonably early start. And the rest of the forecast was correct. The winds are very light, and what little there is coming from exactly the wrong direction. It's coming from the west, and that's of course the direction we have to go to get back to Pine Island Marina. So we're in for a short day of motoring. But we'll try to take in some sights along the way. Well, it's less than a half an hour later, and the weather has changed. Not the sun. We still have plenty of nice sun and blue sky, but the wind has picked up and shifted to the north, which is a fine direction for us going west. So we've turned off the motor and put up the sails. I guess we will get to sail home. Much better.